Yo, welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to have a sit down conversation on the topic of manhood. Um, for me, in the Christian standpoint, being a man is being the foundation of the family, as in, we are the leaders, we are the head, we are the ones who are held accountable and responsible for everything that happens within the family. So, if you are in your 20s or late 20s or early 20s or even in your 30s, these are some principles that I follow that have helped me in the walk of my faith and in the walk of me being just a man in general, because we do live in a generation where it is kind of, well, it's very hard to be a man in this day and age, and nobody ever really sits down and talks to you about how to be a man. So yeah, if this helps you, I hope that you share it with other people. If not, then I'm gonna keep it in my archives and show my kids, or even have a conversation with them when I have them. But for me right now, I am single. I'm 28 years old, and there's three main principles or three main things that I strive and add value and really value in my life right now, and that's integrity, self-mastery, and character, building my character. So this video, we're going to talk about the first one, which is self-mastery. This also can help the females as well if it's something they're interested in, but being a man, you shouldn't have anything that has control over you. If you have to do something every single day and you can't stop, that means that thing has control over you. Like, for instance, if your days has to be so strategic, that means you're addicted to having a strategic day, which is not bad. There's healthy, there's healthy ways of doing things. But what I'm saying is, even food, if you can't go a day without eating, then food has control over you. If you can't go a day without drinking alcohol or beer or wine or a glass of bourbon, whatever you call it, then that thing has control over you. So for my advice to you all, and something that has helped me, is sit down and have a conversation with yourself, and think of everything that you do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that you really think you can't stop, and try and attempt to stop it. That's why I emphasize fasting so much. It does help your spiritual level, but it also helps your self-control. Going 2 to 3 days without food is very hard, but it can also help you with self-mastery, because if you can go 3 days without something that a lot of people need on a daily basis, and you're fine, like that helps you mentally. That helps you, like, it gives you grit, it gives you resilience. It shows you, like, oh my gosh, if I can go 3 days without food, then I'm legit. Like, I can go 3 days without anything. You know what I mean? So as a man, you need to have self-mastery. That's part of self-control as well. It's part of delayed gratification. A lot of people see me at the gym. They're like, bro, I want to be like you in 6 months. Can you train me to be like that in 6? I'm just like, that they just want fast gratitude. And I'm just like, being at the gym every day, like 5 days or 6 days a week, it's not about pumping iron so I can look like this tomorrow or in 6 months. It's like, no, this is a longevity type of thing. I know how I want to look like in the next 5 years, and I'm willing to sacrifice everything right now where I am so that I can reach to that point. So that brings me to the next point. It's like, as men, we are going to ultimately be fathers one day. We're going to be husbands one day. We're going to be leaders in our communities. I mean, if we're speaking correctly right now, the millennials are the ones who are the CEOs, the supervisor. Like, I have a supervisory role. So we are already leading in our communities. but we can't truly lead effectively if we don't effectively lead ourselves first. So that's why I focus on these three principles, and that's why I'm focusing on this first one, which is self-mastery, because if we can practice delayed gratification, it can help us in the long run. It shows us that who we want to be in the future and what do we need to do right now to get to where we want to be. So if you want to be a good father and you don't have kids, then you have to start looking and seeing, what must I do? Who must I become right now so that when I do have kids, I'll be a good father? If you want to be a good husband, we have this tendency of waiting and saying, once I, then I'll. Like, once I become a husband, then I'll start being a husband. Or once I become a father, then I'll start being a father. Makes sense, obviously. But there's other things that you can do to prepare yourself before those things happen. Like, what kind of husband do you want to be? For instance, now you're going to work, you probably go to a bar after work, or you probably do X, Y, and Z. Don't think that those things are gonna just stop automatically once you have a wife and kids. Like, you need to start working at them right now. Like, what do you do after work right now? Because that's probably gonna carry over once you get married or once you have kids. Like, for instance, when I'm playing with my nieces and nephews, I start seeing myself as a father, and I'm like, how will I give attention to my kids when they're at this age? When I have older nieces and I hang out with them and I have conversation, I'm just like, yeah, they're in their teenage lives, and I'm just like, okay, I start picturing myself. I'm like, okay, once I become a dad who has teenagers, I keep seeing like they're completely different people and they have this whole new generation. So it's like, how can I still have a conversation with them and still be friends with them, but also still have that kind of uncle role? You know what I mean? So it's like everything I'm doing now, I'm trying to practice and have as much practice as possible so that when that opportunity comes, when I do become a father, I already have some skills and some experience based on the things that I'm doing now. Now, in terms of being a husband, so you have to have self-mastery to become a husband. You have to have self-control to become a husband. Because don't assume like, oh, once I have a wife, then I'll stop masturbating. Once I have a wife, then I'll stop looking at other girls. It's like, you gotta practice that right now. I see a lot of beautiful girls on a daily basis when I go to the gym and all that stuff. But like, I know who I want in a wife. I know what I want in a wife, and I know God knows what I want in a wife. So I know, like, when I see a beautiful girl or whatever, then I can say, wow, God, you created a beautiful person. And that's where it stops. But for most guys, it's like, oh, they keep staring. And, scripture says, if you look at a woman and you lust after her, that's the same thing as committing adultery. So having self-mastery, saying, oh, she's beautiful. All right, cool. That ain't got nothing to do with me because I know what I want. So then when you get married, it's like, oh, she's beautiful, but that ain't got nothing to do with me because I know what I have. So you're already starting to practice these things on an early stage. That's self-mastery. Now, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. And then we have character, which is being yourself here, inside your house, wherever you're watching this video, at work, at church, everything is the same. There's a lot of things I see with men on a daily basis, like my interactions with them. First of all, a lot of men, they don't have self-confidence. There's a lot of insecurities that go on I have insecurities, but I think because I've worked on integrity, self-mastery, and character, my level of confidence has gone higher, especially discipline-wise, because all these things are disciplines. And going to the gym also helps with my discipline. One thing that you can fix as a man right now, instead of always looking down, look up. Just look up and look straight forward. Don't look down. When you look down, it's, okay, Maybe you like looking down, which is fine, but looking up gives you a boost of confidence as well. Like if somebody makes eye contact with you, just nod your head and say hello. Don't just always look down, and put your phone in your pocket, and just like when you're walking outside, just walk. You know what I mean? I can go in a whole tangent about putting your cell phone up, but I'm not gonna do that in this video. So we talked about self-mastery, which is not allowing anything to have control over you, because whatever has control over you has control over you. Whatever you can't live without in a day or two, and then that thing has control. Your phone, if you can't turn off your phone for a whole day, that has control over you. If you can't go a day or two without watching TV, if you can't go a day or two without, I don't know, eating bad and unhealthy food, if you can't go a day or two without gossiping, or I don't even know what people, or go watching sports. If you can't go a day or two without watching your favorite sports, then that thing has control over you. You have to live in a way that nothing on this earth has control over you, that you have full control over yourself, self-mastery. And that's when you can build on your integrity. And that's when you can build on your character, because self-mastery is a part of your character. That's when you start being disciplined, you start focusing, and that will help you walk towards your true purpose on this earth. Scripture says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate that leads to destruction. Now, a lot of you have heard that scripture as in like, oh, if you're worldly, you're gonna go to hell, and blah blah blah, so you need to enter through the narrow gate, blah blah blah. I had an epiphany. I don't even know if epiphany is the right term, but I was in my time of prayer, and something just came over me, and it was like a soft whisper saying, David, the narrow path is Christ. And I was like, hold on, what do you mean? The narrow path is Christ. Enter to the narrow gate. That's Christ. Every time we think about narrow gate, we think of something that like we have to do X, Y, and Z. We have to give up everything. We have to like do things so structured. We have to be holy. But like, it's not what we have to do. It's who we get to be with. And that's Christ, because Christ is the narrow gate, because he's the one who leads to life, and life more abundantly. So what does this have to do about manhood? It has everything to do about manhood, because think about everything that the world, society wants you to think a man is, and see how broad that is. But Christ, he's like, just come to me. And when you think about Christ, it's like he's all that we need. That's why we need self-mastery, because we can't be attached to the world. We can't be attached to things here on this world, because we're just guests. We're just vapors that we're here today and gone tomorrow. That's why everything we hold on to as the foundation of the family, as the man, as the head, we have to focus on Christ. And Christ is the narrow path. He is the narrow way. He's not the broad way, which everyone enters. He's not the way that everything is so common. That's why you have husbands sleeping with other people's wives. That's why you have husbands who are quitting because they didn't know. Nobody ever taught them how to be a man before they got married. So they got married because they had butterfly feelings in their stomach, and they all so lovey-dovey, and all that faded away, and they didn't know what to do next. It's because they didn't have self-mastery. They didn't walk in the narrow path. The narrow path is hard. It is hard, because we live in a world where we want gratification, instant gratification. We want a fast food burger, and we're gonna eat it and we're gonna feel good now, and then 10 minutes later we're gonna feel crappy. But self-mastery is saying, I can have this burger right now, but I know what I want long term, so I'm willing to put this burger away right now. I know that I want this alcoholic drink right now, but I know what kind of father, I know what kind of husband I want to be. And I know when I drink this, I know who I become. Therefore, I'm going to stop this right now. think about the future and do the necessary work to become who I want to be. What kind of father, what kind of teacher, what kind of husband, what kind of leader do I want to be long term? Delayed gratification. And what necessary things do I need to do right now? Sacrifices do I need to make right now so I can be who I want? That is walking to the narrow path. Integrity, self-mastery, and character, that's all discipline. It's walking in the narrow path, because even my body structure, when I go to the gym, it is the way it is now because I walk to the narrow path. I don't just eat whatever I want. I don't just work out whenever I want. It's discipline. It's delayed gratification. And when I'm doing that, my life is more better. When I have self-discipline, when I have self-mastery, when I act the same way I act here, the same way I act everywhere else. That's why I'm so confident, because I have nothing to hide. Who you get right here, right now, is who you're going to get if you meet me in person. And what I say I'll do, I say I'll do. I'm posting videos every week. That's what I said I will from the beginning. So that's self-mastery, that's integrity, that's character, and that's entering to the narrow path. Because Christ is my narrow path. He's the one who gives me life, and I'm willing to give up everything in this world to follow him, because he's my primary example of who I want to be, of what kind of man I want to be, what kind of husband, what kind of leader I want to be, what kind of father I want to be. Christ is my primary example. That's why you're probably watching this video, because you're trying to get encouragement. You're trying to figure this thing out. And I'm telling you, I'm not the answer. Whoever you're looking for, they're not the answer. But I'm telling you, Christ is the answer. He has everything that you ever need. He is the man that we will never, ever, even in our hardest attempt, truly be, but he's the one that we pursue to become. And he's the one who helps us to get to where we need to be. He's the one who ordains us. He's the one who puts us in our purpose. He's the one who helps us lead our family. He's the one who helps us cultivate our family, protect our wives, protect our kids. He's the one who helps us lead this society. So enter through the narrow path, for it brings life, and life more abundantly, while the wide path, wide gate, leads to destruction. And that's where a lot of people enter through it. So which gate will you choose to enter through? Thank you. See you next week. Peace.